episode of the Butterfly Podcast. Episode 7 is by me, your girl Star. Thank you for tuning in, whatever you're listening from. Um, this is my second time doing this, going live for today. Had technical difficulties, but bear with me. But I welcome anybody who's listening. Um, Again, I'm not able to view comments on the phone. I wish I could. Made it a lot easier to interact with you guys, but just leave your comments and comments. Make sure you like and comment on our channel. You know what I mean? If you like what you hear, continue to like, share, subscribe, and make sure you share the live and the podcast to those who might be interested. I truly appreciate it. But yeah, so basically, it's today's episode is going to basically be a recap of yesterday's Monday Night Raw. Um, and the semi mayhem that it went through yesterday. Um, Sorry if I keep saying that. Raw begins with Oprah Femi and Brock Lesnar opening the show. Basically, Paul Heyman being his mouthpiece of Brock, saying that Brock Lesnar, basically listing all Brock Lesnar's accomplishments. I guess from the NCAA champion, defeating the streak of Undertakers at Mania, the 1 in 21. Um, Basically listing off all types of former WWE employees who did not beat the Undertaker in the street, such as John Cena, such as Dean Ambrose, who we know as John Moxley for AEW, and a few other people. I couldn't remember, but yeah. Basically calling Oba Femi out. Oba Femi came out to address it, but not on a talking basis. Brock Lesnar tried to go for an F5 on Oba Femi. Oba Femi wiggled his way out of that and basically clotheslined him over the top rope. Brock looking embarrassed as Elf, which is whatever. Paul Heyman basically getting Brock to stand down. My only issue with that segment or that opening situation was the fact that Brock calling Oba Femi boy. I feel like that's so disrespectful, not only as a man, but as a man of a black man of color, to be called boy. I feel like he could have said something else. You know what I mean? And so I don't know how the backstage of Gorilla works. I don't know if that with the script, they go all on and off the script, and who may or may not approve that moment. But I feel like that was crazy, especially if Oba said yes to that. I feel like that was disrespectful to your face. Not only you as a superstar, but you as a man. That's just me. But then again, look at his heroes. So at this point, it is what it is. That segment ended. And then the first match of the night was the Usos versus Vision, which was a non-title match. Just in case those was curious if it was or wasn't a title match for the tag team belts. And I know for other people, they might say that over the weekends or whatever the case might be, that it got switched from being a title match to a non-title match, back to a title match to another untitled match. But yesterday was a non-title match. With that, you had LA Knight was coming in to interfere, basically stopping Logan Paul from cheating with the brass knuckles and sliding into Jay. Jay being Jay, the crash out Jay, Didn't give a care that he was going to get disqualified. Um, Even though it was LA attention to give it to him so he can hide it from the referee and then do what he need to do to win. But Jay chose like fuck it. I'm gonna hit him with the brash knuckle, get disqualified. Um, and then eventually turn around and pop Logan Paul across the jaw, which I'm here for because anybody who popped the shit out of Logan Paul is a friend in need. Because y'all know I do not like that man. No whatsoever. I'm sorry, but not sorry. So basically, Division 1 via disqualification, which next week prompts them to have a title match with the Usos next week, which is beyond me because I guess. Then you had the Becky and AJ segment. You know, Becky talking about how she was wronged out of her title, her IC champion, how she made it relevant, how that people got sick of her being in the title picture. And so she took a couple of months off just to give the fans what they wanted. And then when she came back, she purposely chose not to go after the main card title that she quote unquote went to the IC champion and made it relevant of what it is today. Uh, but yeah, um, then you have AJ who came out to quote unquote not only to put hands on Becky, even though Becky wasn't gonna let that happen, and basically called herself, her favorite superstar, well, her favorite wrestler, and telling Becky that apparently I'm your daughter's favorite wrestler, and basically giving Becky what she wanted, which was a title match for the IC champion. Um, that segment ended. Sorry if I'm not going in order. I didn't really write it down. Then you have the Seth Rollins versus Paul Heyman segment of basically all Paul Heyman guys got basically taken out that night. Starting with Brock Lesnar, who eventually left the arena after the situation happened. And then you had uh, Logan Paul and Theory being basically punched in the face um, by Jey Uso early that night as well. So he really didn't have nobody to stand behind like he normally do and hide behind. Basically, would end up him talking shit to Seth Rollins and about Seth Rollins um, having the police to come out. Basically, he had a restraining order against Seth Rollins, or whatever the case might be. With a restraining order saying he couldn't come near or touch him, or whatever the case might be, that he filed over the weekends, um, which you already know is crazy, to the point where the police was trying to exit the arena with Seth Rollins, and Paul Heyman kept talking shit. Basically, it wasn't the part where he was talking about Becky. It's the minute that he brought up his daughter. It's when he ran up to the ring and Paul trying to throw a mic at him, which hilarious. And then Seth end up punching him, and then the police end up rushing in and handcuffing Seth and getting him out the ring, and basically tells Paul that it's not over, and etc. etc. Paul with a stupid ass grin on his face because he got what he wanted. Because in his mind, quote, Seth violated the restraining order. Which we already know after when they entered the gorilla, the handcuffs coming off because it's due to the storyline. So, whatever. Then there was a segment between Penta and IShowSpeed, which was crazy. I Show Speed should never make that face of doing the pencil walk because yeah, that was very unpleasing. And then there was another segment with I Show Speed with Denhausen and Denhausen cursing I Show Speed, which again, my beef with Denhausen is that you keep cursing everyone else except for the person who I want you to curse, and that's fucking Logan Paul. And it's kind of like, sorry, not sorry for being an asshole, but brother, you could literally, like, if you take care of my list, I'll be fine. You take care of Logan Paul, followed by Tiffany and the Bellas, we're good. But instead, you keep cursing everybody else from almost Kofi, but to Grayson Waller, from behind the scenes. He's watching the Bellas, but I doubt it. Quote unquote, The Miz, and then a few other people, like the original Americano and somebody else. I can't remember right now. But it's like, damn, you keep cursing everyone else except who I want you to curse and where it counts the most. Because the people from the Vision who I don't mind looking at, which is Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker, the Bronze, they're injured. Why couldn't it be Logan Paul? I don't mind watching Theory. I like Theory. But why you couldn't be Logan Paul? Like, goddamn. You have one goddamn job and to curse his ass. And y'all know how much I detest Logan Paul. I'm sorry, but not sorry. But I digress. Back to the show. Then there was a tag team match between Bailey and Lyra Valkyria, aka Bird Lady, versus the Kabuki Warriors of Kairi Sane and Asuka, um, which ended up being Bailey and Lyra winning due to whatever the case may be. Due to Bailey missing the step, not missing the step, but missing the elbow drop on Asuka due to Kairi moving her out the way, and then Lyra hitting Kairi with the Nightwing and picking up the victory. They had a little promo section after that one. And then there was a backstage segment with Asuka and Kairi. And basically, Asuka blaming Kairi for losing. Basically, semi yelling at her until Asuka walked off. And then there was a segment between Kairi and Io. Io telling Kairi that you don't deserve it, that you deserve better. And then there was also a segment between Io and Raquel, and basically telling Io that you're trying to touch yourself to Stephanie because Rhea left you, and that since you want to be in the business, I will take care of you next week, just like I started to take care of her, aka Stephanie. Um, then there was the segment between. No, there was the match between Dom and Penta. And before the match even started, you had Stephanie not only attack Liv from behind, but also attack Dom, which her and Liv end up fighting in the gorilla where the producers and shit be sitting at, going back and forth, and then was eventually separated. Dom ended up being in the match on his own. Eventually, JD, big bobbleheaded ass, came out there to the ringside to cheer and help Dominic out. Um, Eventually, Penta picked up the victory due to Finn Balor's help, getting his lick back from not only JD but Dom, which I am here for as well. Um, yeah, basically hitting both of them with a sling blade. JD saving Dom from getting coup de grace. Dom ended up leaving JD to be beat up by Finn, which was hilarious, but it is what it is. And then eventually went up to the last segment of the night, which is the closest segment of the Usos, Punk, and Roman, where you have Jimmy basically warning Punk that his brother's on a rampage and that you need to be careful with what you say tonight. Um, because some shit might happen. I mean, he did warn the brother, but he still did it anyways. Um, the segment went off with CM Punk talking his shit about Roman, and then eventually bringing Jay up into the conversation of whatnot. Basically, it's why some that Roman is using Jay again, which he's totally not, and that um, Jay being a hothead or whatnot. Jay came out with Jay came out, confronted Punk, basically telling him that keep my name at your mouth, etc. Um, which Jimmy ended up coming out to telling Jay what's he doing out here, and that the whole situation between Punk and Roman has nothing to do with them, and basically Jay will feel like he does because he disrespected the family or whatnot, and then eventually Punk try to initiate a title match between him and Jay, trying to give him what he want, even though he know it would probably eventually cause a conflict between Roman and Jay, which I think he was trying to do that purposely anyways, but just Punk. And then Roman eventually came out telling Jimmy to get Jay and get out of the ring and to leave to uh, Punk seeing the map, Punk being Punk, telling Roman that no, they should stay because you need to help. Basically telling Roman he can't do shit without his cousins and his bloodline or whatever the case may be, or his family. Um, which is crazy work, but also semi true. Um, sorry. Then it led Jay to charge at Punk. Punk basically clocked Jay, and then Jimmy had to interfere because you put your hands on my brother in front of me. Which there was like a moment with him with Punk until Roman clocked CM Punk in the back of the head with a Superman punch. Um, not security. Adam Pearce and the security came out to break it up, etc., etc. And then, before Roman exited the ring, Jay basically telling Roman, calling him by his name, calling him Joe, saying that no, get him, smash him, da da da. Basically reminding Roman who the fuck he was, which ended up leaving Roman to spearing Punk and then kick him out to the ring in order to basically run his head to the ring post and then put him through the table with the power bomb. Talking shit. Fans wanted to run it back again for him to do it again. Roman avoided that one. Punk over there laughing like I'm not the one who need help, and that is part of his plan and whatnot. So yeah, it was a decent episode. I mean, if I had to rate each one, which I should have did it at the time, but rate each one, the Brock and Oba, I'll get it a 4. 4, if I'm being generous, for a 4.5. Only because of the whole boy comment. And then the shit Oba been saying. Um, the Usos versus Theory, I would give that a 5.5. I'm being honest. The Becky and AJ thing, a 4. I wasn't really interested in. I'm like, no offense to either one, but again, the Denhausen Astro Speed segment really, really didn't care. the Bailey versus the Bailey and Lara Bakir versus the Kabuki Warriors. That match again, I'll give it a 5.5, maybe a 6. If I'm being generous with it. Then the Penta and Dom match, again, I gave it a 6. Being honest, only reason why it's a 6 because of the fan coming out and interfering, which got a lot of fans hyped, including myself. So I gave it a generous 6. Um, and Bobblehead JD getting beat up, so that was a plus. But I think the highest rate moment for me, that is a 7, was the Usos and Roman segment with the Punk, which I'm starting to kind of getting back invested into it slowly. It's not completely too much right now. I don't know if this version of Roman is the Golden Glove Roman 2.0. I don't know. It depends on what he do between now and Mania. If it's that type of run again, then cool. We already know that he's not going to be champion for another 4 years. They not going to do that. If he end up winning at Mania, I feel like if he does win at Mania, he probably will have the title for about a good 3 to 6 months before I happen to drop it. Um, Before there's anybody else to challenge him for it, honestly. But we know it's gonna be like how it was before, where Roman barely even there. I mean, he might pick up more dates if he becomes champion, but I'm not gonna hold my breath on that. As much as I love Roman, I'm not gonna hold my breath on that one. But still, but honestly, I don't know. I mean, because I feel like if Seth never got injured and they never turned on him, I could have seen this being a triple threat match again. But for the title of Punk, Seth, and Roman. But yeah, other than that, yeah. Um, we'll talk about SmackDown, but I don't really remember too much for SmackDown besides Jacob and Drew going at it mostly through the show from the beginning to the show, middle of the show, and the end of the show. Um, Basically the ways the MFTs versus uh, Damian Priest and R-Truth for the tag team titles, and eventually R-Truth and Damian Priest end up winning the tag team title from the MFTs due to the Y6 interference and basically hitting, I think, Tama with the AA. Then there was a segment between the MFTs and basically Solo going off on them for losing the tag team titles. Tama basically telling Solo, give back the lantern because it's starting to mess with you. And it's basically telling him that you're starting to sound like Roman. That did not make Solo happy that he said that. And then there's the moment where Jacob and Drew went past them, beat up each other. That was a highlight moment for me. Then there was basically the Randy Orton being a menace with Zack Ryder, basically, or Macadona. I'm saying Zack because, yeah. Um, Basically telling Randy that he changed, that what was your reason for doing what you do to Cody? And he basically telling Zack, I don't need your opinion nor your input in what I do. There's none of your business. Go back to doing what you're doing. Stay out of my business. Um, then you had Jelly Roll segment with him and Kid Wilson, but before that, the segment between Randy and Jelly Roll, basically, Jelly Roll's like, this is not you, Randy. You know, you're the good guy. He shut his ass up. Like, please. I was hoping Randy RKO'd his ass, honestly. But he didn't. But it is what it is. Um, then there was a segment between Kit Wilson and Jello, and not in the rap promo, but more like in the poetry um promo, which was stupid as shit to be honest. Which basically is a three. I'm sorry, because that was like, what are we doing? Um, then there was the Lash Legend and Nia Jax versus uh the Bellas for the tag team titles, with eventually ending up Alexa and Charlotte interfering. Um, eventually, it's gonna lay down to a triple threat match at some point. I don't know if it's at Mania or what. I hope not, especially when it comes to the Bellas. Like, eh. But I already know it's gonna come true. Especially if they do a Fatal 4 match for the women's tag team title. But I digress. And then you have it was other stuff in between, but I'm just only speaking on the things I remember and really cared about. Then there was a segment where Randy, on the end of the show, basically having Matt Cardona come out, aka Zack Ryder, so he can quote unquote apologize, which we know Randy don't apologize for shit he does, especially if this is '09 Randy. You know, Randy's whole body language was basically like a RKO or something waiting to happen. Um, Not only he kicked him between the legs, but then I think he also RKO'd him and then grabbed the steel chair and basically didn't. I don't know if he broke it or not, but yeah, put it on his arm and stumped on it. So yeah, if it was a decent episode of SmackDown in general, I would rate the show about like a 6, if I'm being honest. But yeah, I know tonight is NXT, so most likely my episode of or my recap of NXT as well as this coming SmackDown will be probably a Sunday. Depends on the mood. I'm not sure. I will definitely let you guys know when episode 8 drop. I need to be more uh, proactive when it comes to doing like the reminders of the podcast episodes on social media. Again, I'm still getting used to the whole podcast thing and trying to figure out how things work. But other than that, yeah, I think I'm gonna do a small mini episode at some point this week. I might do it later on tonight. Who knows about the whole Ricochet situation? But for right now, this was episode 7. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next episode of the Butterfly Throne podcast. See you.